Good morning, Todd County. Welcome to Wednesday, July 5th, 2023. Todd County Board of Commissioners regular board meeting. Roll call would be Noska, Newman, Becker, Denny, along with Auditor Treasurer Gaida, Coordinator Pelzer, and County Attorney Lindman. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Once again, good morning. Is there any amendments to the agenda?
I have none, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Becker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion? If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Consent items.
Today's consent items are the meeting minute approval for June 20th, 2023, gambling permit for Ivy's Legacy Foundation, resignation social worker Maggie Chapin, 6/30/2023, resignation eligibility worker Micah Kuhner, 7/5/2023, appoint behavioral health supervisor Jacob Schwepke, start date 7/6/2023, and seasonal hire Emily Olson, start date 7/6/2023.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Noska. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion? If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Commissioners, right now we're going to do the 2023 Employee Second Quarter Service Awards. What I'll ask is when I call your name, please come up and we'll shake your hand and stay up here for a group picture after we're done, okay? So today we are celebrating 5 years of service for Seth Martinson. Will you please come up?
Mr. Chair, Seth Martinson is a support enforcement aide with HHS, and he's been with the county for 5 years.
Okay. Next for his 5 years of service is Paul Deason.
Yep, and Paul is not able to be here this morning. He actually starts at 11 o'clock, so he is a custodian with facilities, and he's been here for 5 years.
Okay, we'll want to congratulate him. Next, 20 years of service, Candace Parrish.
Okay, Candace is Deputy Auditor Treasurer in the Auditor's Office, and she's been here for 20 years.
Another 20 years service award, Jolene DeVitt.
So Joey is a Deputy Assessor in the Assessor's Office with the county for 20 years.
Next, for 25 years of service, Nancy Duncan.
And Nancy is office clerical in the Sheriff's Office, here for 25 years.
Hi. Another 25 years service award goes to Patrick Berenger.
So Pat is not able to be here this morning, but he is a heavy equipment operator with Public Works for 25 years.
Right. Another 25 years of service award goes to Rosalind Mogard.
And Rosie is an office support specialist, too, with HHS, and she's been here for 25 years.
And our 30-year award for second quarter, Lisa Wenking.
And Lisa is also unable to be here. She is an eligibility worker in HHS, and she's been here for 30 years. So, Mr. Chair, that's a collective 155 years of service at Todd County.
Wow, congratulations to all of them. So board members, this. We'll file in here. Hopefully we get everybody in this. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you all for coming.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair, we do have our 30-year service award. You're okay.
Go. We're gonna do another picture here.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Cool.
Very, very nice. Have a good day.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, County Auditor Treasurer.
Great. Back in the roll here. My first item today is the auditor warrants. Background was sent for your review. Recommendation is to approve the auditor warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling in the amount of $1,616,008.92.
Okay, I've heard the request. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Danny. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker. Discussion. If none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Denny?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Nasca?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
The next item I have would be the commissioner warrants, and background was sent for your review. Recommendation is to approve the commissioner warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling in the amount of $84,763.22.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Becker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Nasca. Discussion. If none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Nasca?
Yes.
Commissioner Denny?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Thank you. The next item I have would be the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants. Again, background was sent for a review. Recommendation is to approve the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling the amount of $199,887.96.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Nasca. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion. If none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Nasca?
Yes.
Commissioner Denny?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Next item I have is the Health and Human Service SSIS warrants. Background is sent for your review. Recommendation is to approve the Health and Human Service SSIS warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling the amount of $53,288.19.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Denny. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker. Discussion. If none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Denny?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Nasca?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
The next item I have is elections information, election budget transfer request for equipment. Background is, in order to facilitate the election equipment planning, updates, and upgrades to the 2024 election cycle, the Auditor Treasurer's Office is requesting the transfer of funds within the election department to shift 2023 budgeted funding from the stationery and forms account to the small equipment account to correctly classify the expenditure per audit standards. Your options are to approve the attached budget form request to transfer $8,318.50 or do not approve this. The recommendation is to approve the attached budget request form to transfer $8,318.50 from the stationery and forms account to the equipment purchase account within the election department of 2023's budget to facilitate the election equipment updates and upgrades. It is a budgeted item, and the financial impact, again, is the $8,318.50 And this is the information we brought before the board in a work session a couple weeks ago.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Becker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Noska. Discussion. If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Carried. Thank you.
And my last item today is the actual upgrade. It's for an electronic roster pull pad upgrade. Background again, Todd County Auditor Treasurer's Office continues to maintain the service agreements for the election equipment utilized in all Todd County precincts per the Todd County Local Election Equipment Plan adopted in 2019. As part of the equipment plan, the electronic roster devices, pull pads, were bulk purchased in 2018-2019 with all the municipalities participating in this agreement. Our office has learned that Apple will be sunsetting the technical support on the current iPad units prior to the end of 2024. In order for the pull pad units to be at the ready for all 3 state elections in 2024, our office shared an update with the county board at work session on May 16th and has reached out to all municipalities for their agreements to participate with Todd County in the upgrade of these iPad units in 2023. Your options are to approve the electronic roster pull pad upgrade on behalf of the county. This will be with no ink for the amount of $34,125, or do not move forward with the update. The recommendation is to approve the electronic roster pull pad upgrade on behalf of Todd County's equipment needs and participating Todd County municipalities with no ink for the total amount of $34,125. It is a budgeted item, and then the funding sources are listed below. Todd County's share for 9 units is $3,937.50, and the city and townships 69 units that they hold, will be reimbursing the $30,187.50.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Noska. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion.
Yes, I do. Mr. Chair, Denise, were there any feedback from the townships?
No, not at all. Actually, they just signed the forms and sent them back. I think they've realized how nice these are. They keep the confidentiality. Like in the medical field, you have the HIPAA laws. This way, the pull pad can be turned around, and it's necessary, especially in the primary presidential election that is required now, because you have to claim the ballot, what party you're asking for. And to say that out loud,
Yeah.
you know, it's not under confidential circumstances in most polling places. So this way they can turn the poll pad around, the individual has the option of pushing whatever they want. It automatically tells the ballot feed what to give them what ballot. So it is a necessity legality-wise now.
Thank you.
Do you think in the next 5-6 years again, probably the same thing comes down
Well,
the
like
line?
we said, your
Is that-
phones and your.
Right, it's probably just going to be something we're just going to be used to every 5-6 years. We're going to have to upgrade because
Exactly.
the way it works.
We're at the
Right.
submission of Apple.
Yeah.
They control it,
Exactly.
so when
Yeah.
they update,
They've got us.
They did, I will say they were very good to work with, the Snow Inc., as far as, even, we were already dealing on this 6 months ago, telling us of what was foreseeable coming. And so they gave us a good deal on,
Good.
the upgrade.
Good.
So Denise, I had a question asked to me yesterday at the West Union Parade was, can these things be hacked?
No, these are not synced to the internet.
Okay,
So there's no ability, they are not online.
okay,
The only time anything is online is when we submit everything to the state at the end of election night, but that is through our secured line, and it's election line directly from our portal here at the county to the state secretary's webpage,
Okay.
or website.
thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah, there's no way that anybody can hack the individual iPads at the polling place.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Thank you. MCIT. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Have each of you had an opportunity to see the board reports before?
You guys got it?
I think we've got it.
Yeah, should be
We
online.
have hard copies
Yep.
if members of the board would like that.
You can take one. Thank you.
like your own clicker to switch the pages, or do you just want me to do it? You just
If you
tell me.
could do it, Denise,
Sure.
that would be great, thank you.
Yep.
All right. So, members of the board, my name is Eric Nearness. I'm with Minnesota Counties Intergovernmental Trust, or MCIT. I am MCIT's Director of Claims, and I'm here this morning to go over a report about Todd County's performance with MCIT and to update you and give you a little bit of information about our programs. I've never given a board report before, being the Director of Claims, but because of my proximity in northern Minnesota, I somehow got the nod for this, and I'm very, very
Nice.
pleased to be here.
Yeah.
So first off, congratulations to Todd County for being a member since 1980. This is your 44th year with MCIT. And congratulations to Commissioners Denny and Nasca for winning your election last fall.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you here. Todd County's performance with MCIT has been very strong. You are performing well. You are a well-respected member of MCIT, and I'm able to be here this morning to present basically and overall a good news story. MCIT is a joint powers entity, and we are basically your risk pool. You and 80 other county members, as well as 390 public entity members, make up our membership. We respond to you through our board of directors, who are commissioners and auditors and an administrator coordinator member. So the interests of counties and public entities are well represented. Turning to the board report itself, the first page shows how we focus on members. We are not subject to the Minnesota Department of Commerce or the insurance regulations as a public joint powers entity, and as such, we are able to create a coverage document and provide protection to our members, which represents the unique risks of counties. Unlike private entities or monoline corporations that may have one or maybe two lines of business, counties and public entities sometimes have multiple 12, 14, 15 departments and lines of business. And our coverage document is tailored to protect you in the event of loss and restore you to a pre-loss condition when that occurs. We get great support from Todd County as far as our risk control and loss prevention measures. I know that your safety committee meets regularly and commissioners regularly attend the safety committee meetings. That is not always the case with many of our members. So kudos to you for doing that. I think that sends a strong signal to your workforce that you're committed to safety, committed to doing the right thing, committed to protecting your employees, and committed to promoting your public mission. If you go to the second page, at the top you'll see that one of the things MCI does is we purchase reinsurance. And reinsurance is there for those large catastrophic losses. You may be familiar with Todd Wadena Community Corrections. They had a very large property loss last year as the result of the storms in May and June. And that will be an event that we will use reinsurance for, so that you and other members do not have to pay the full freight for that loss. You'll see in the final paragraph, reinsurance rate increased by 8%, and our liability reinsurance rate rose by 24%. Two key things about that. Property reinsurance, about 2/3 of property loss claims involve roofing. Most roofing is made from petroleum. So when the price of oil goes up, the price of roofing goes up. And that is largely out of our control. The liability reinsurance is being driven in large part by law enforcement and jail liability claims. We have seen a significant increase in that following the death of George Floyd in 2020 and additional claims being brought against law enforcement. We defend and represent our members to the fullest extent possible, but it is right now a very active environment for those types of claims being brought against law enforcement. Cyber coverage. In 2022, Hartford Steam Boiler, who provided our cyber reinsurance, informed MCIT that they would not provide cyber reinsurance beginning January 1st, 2023. That was not unique to MCIT. As I referenced earlier, counties have many different areas of operation and many different associated risks. And Hartford Steam Boiler basically told risk pools and municipal risk pools that they could no longer write the coverage because it was too difficult to price the risk. Fortunately, we had a relationship with County Reinsurance Limited, who provides our liability reinsurance coverage. They have a cyber program, and we brought our cyber claims handling in-house beginning January 1st of this year, and we were able to enhance our coverage for cyber risk, going from $250,000 in coverage to $500,000 in coverage for county members. And we were also able to eliminate some sublimits that Hartford Steam Boiler had in place. So we have more flexibility and adaptability to respond to unique cyber claims. So depending on the type of event, the intrusion, whatever may happen, we now have better ability to respond to that and provide enhanced protection for the counties. We are also very interested in cost containment. When we have a situation where damage is caused by a wrongdoer who may have insurance, or if we have a criminal who intentionally damages property as a result of pursuit, we can pursue recoveries through subrogation or restitution. We have upgraded to a new vendor for our medical bill review for workers' compensation coverage. That was something I initiated early in 2022. We launched it on August 1st of last year. And in about the 10 months that we have had that new program in place, we've saved over $5.5 million for our members' money. And then we also have a pharmacy benefit manager, so if you do have an injured employee, we will work to get them to the nearest convenient member pharmacy at the best possible price so that they can get the prescriptions that they need. We did have a dividend of $7 million, and Todd County's proportion of that dividend was $74,156. And as you can see in the chart to the right of that, we anticipate expenses in the future. We foresee that the property casualty is going to go up in premium a little bit while workers' compensation premium continues to drop. I think a part of that is in the post-pandemic world with more people working remotely, less travel to and from the office, less time spent in office. We seem to be seeing fewer of those slip and falls, office type injuries, and that is really helping our experience. As you go to the top of the third page, we have a chart for workers' compensation claims. As you'll see, by frequency, that just simply means how many types of claims do we see. Your sheriff and jail operations account for the greatest number of claims, not surprisingly. They have to do difficult work with difficult people from time to time. Highway department accounts for about 11% of your claims, hospital, nursing home, public health, about 10%. By severity, workers' compensation, again, not surprising, your law enforcement and jail operations are costing the most dollars to the county. Highway is about 18% of the money paid, over 11% of the claims, but those folks are out doing difficult and heavy work, and we see injuries, unfortunately, not surprising, but they can tend to be a bit more expensive. And then again, hospital, nursing home, the severity of those claims is lower. Those are typically strain, sprain from assisting patients and other things, basically lifting injuries. We don't see a lot of serious harm as we do with jail and highway. Property casualty claims. Auto leads the way at 58%. Your county vehicles get hailed on, your deputies hit deer, turkey, owls, wildlife, rocks, holes, cattle. It's just the nature of the game. Property is about 16% of the total claim volume, and general liability about 13%. Those are your slips and falls and people that come into the government center and claim injury. By severity, auto is about 32% of the money, but here you can see because of the recent storms, about 31% of the money has gone out for property damage, which we are certainly able to handle. We have reinsurance for that. We've got a great team that are handling those claims, and as I sit here today as the Director of Claims, I can tell you that your claims are proceeding smoothly and are gonna resolve within coverage, within time, and we'll get you back to your pre-loss condition. And then law enforcement liability, again, that's the big one. Those can be high dollar cases where people allege violations of civil rights. Unfortunately, we do sometimes see injuries or suicides in jails, which can be prohibitively expensive. And then over to the right, we have the sidebar about workers' compensation, and this is something I'd really like to point out to the board. We use what's called a mod factor. It is determined by Minnesota state statute, and 1.0 is the norm. We expect counties to operate at a level of 1. You will see for 2023, your mod factor is 0.839, which is below that norm. And especially important if you look at the lower part under the 23,0838, excuse me. In 2019, you were at 1.06, slightly above what the standard is. And you'll see a trend of improving performance over each of the last 4 years. So between the work of your safety committee and awareness and employees taking accountability for their actions, you are able to control and reduce your mod rate, which again, many members do not have that favorable level of performance. So it's a great job for the folks here at Todd County. And then finally, I want to take you to the last page. We do many things at MCIT besides provide coverage for injured employees or damaged property. We have a number of resources. We have Nick Lindberg is your loss control consultant. Tom Suppis is your risk management consultant. They're available anytime if you have a question, if you're looking at a contract, if there's what could we do to improve the footing around our solid waste station. Those folks are there to help you out. We also have awareness and prevention materials. You see there a graphic. We have a handbook on the essentials of data security. The other white document there is actually an IT security checklist that you can go through, and there's 24 or 26 questions that will help yourselves determine, are we as protected against cyber crime as we might hope to be? We always do seminars, webinars. We work with the Minnesota Sheriff's Association, the Minnesota County Attorneys Association, and other groups to provide training. All of that can be found on our website. And then we also have access to service partners. Probably the biggest one, and the one you might be most familiar with, is the Employee Assistance Program. That is a program for employees who are in need. They can have up to 6 consultations with a licensed person, and that is completely private, completely confidential, at no cost to the employee or the county. And something else about EAP, I think a lot of people think of it in terms of, I'm going through a divorce, I'm having difficulty with a child, I'm looking for that type of help. But they also have resources available if you have an employee who's in some financial difficulty, needs financial consulting or help finding daycare or elder care. Those resources are available through the EAP. So I like to say, call MCIT. If we've got an answer for you, we'll provide it. If we don't have an answer, we'll help you find it. We are your association, and we're here to help you. And then the last paragraph that we have, and I think this board and you commissioners do a great job, is shown by your participation in the safety committee. Just feel free to reach out and ask us questions. Feel free to help your employees understand the access to our benefits and resources. Working with Denise has been great. She's excellent at getting loss reports to us and providing needed information. And we've had a couple incidents over the last couple of years that have drawn some higher attention, but we've been able to work through them pretty well. So that's really what I have for the board as far as remarks. I would be happy to entertain any questions or comments you have.
Okay. Board, any questions?
No, I guess, Mr. Chair, it was good to have that comment about our perm, the incinerator, that we're gonna be able to carry on with the insurance. Yeah, because a few years back, that was really a questionable where it was going to go and where it was going to land, and at what cost.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was. And we were really, really pleased to be able to do that. I am a refugee from the private sector. I worked for a large insurance company for many years. And the funnest job I've had so far in my career has been working for MCIT. It's a very nimble, very agile group, very responsive to member information and member requests, and I've just had the time of my life working with these folks.
Nice. Well, it was a good report, and we want to thank staff for staying on top of the issues that we've had and working with MCIT on that. And you're right, it's a good organization to belong to, so.
Yep.
Any other questions?
No, thank you. Appreciate the information.
Thank you
Very
so much.
Appreciate your time this morning. I know you've got a full agenda, and thanks for having us up this morning.
Thank you.
Yes.
Don't get any beer or beer.
Well, it's brighter now, so hopefully won't be so much an issue.
Thank you.
Have a great day, folks.
You too. All right, Todd County Ag Society. Update on the fairgrounds. Mike and Deborah? Morning.
Morning.
Morning. Would you like the estimate for the electrical before we start?
Would you please?
Hey, morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, the back too, but they not.
All right. Explain what you want to do and introduce yourself and then
Okay,
explain what you
I'm
want to do.
Deborah Durheim. I'm the Todd County Ag Society Secretary.
Mike Wielenberg, Todd County Egg Society President.
Welcome. Okay, what you guys got going?
What we got today that we're presenting is we would like to have the ticket booths that you have out at the fairgrounds switched. Because then that way the rain isn't coming down on those that are selling the admission tickets. So if we could get those two switched, and then we would also like to get your permission to put a larger window in so that we can sell our tickets out of that building. The way it sounds, the estimated cost to move them is $75 to switch them, and then to put a window in each one of them is $175 a piece. So, we would like to get that taken care of, and in talking to Mitch, the way it sounds, we can have that done on the 10th of July, so before the county fair this year.
Okay.
The other thing, I don't know if you want both at once, or,
Deborah, can I ask, so when you're talking about
And,
these windows, it's $75 to switch windows? What are we?
no, it's $75 to switch the buildings, and $175 per window per building to put those in. So it looks about like, and I just got the estimated cost, about $475 to do those two things.
Okay. Board? I'm trying to find my text that I got from.
I can give a little information. I was
Okay.
out there with them on this one, and what it is the two ticket booths are actually reverse oriented of each other, so they're not exact duplicates. One has a door on the opposite side of the other. While the way they're sitting right now, the rain actually would run onto the people that are receiving tickets or purchasing tickets outside of the building. And so if they were reversed, we could put one on each end, and it would avoid that by diverting the rain to the back of the building. Well, in this case, though, then there would be no window on that location, so that's why the 175 comes through to add a window there, a ticket window, so you can slide the window to the side and exchange money and tickets, so.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, if I
Yep.
could. The booths, as they're sitting now, the door's always been going out, the front booth in front of the, the grandstand, the door was always going out the east. And is it still going out the east, or is it going out?
Correct, it still goes to the east right now as it sits.
Okay, and the back one, it goes out the east also?
Correct.
Okay, so the doors,
So if we move 'em-
if you switch them, so the doors would be going towards facing west on both buildings?
No, the doors would continue to go to the east. Right now, the one by the grandstand, the roof slopes to the south,
Okay,
and so that one would go, okay, Lou's got some pictures there.
okay,
Or somebody's got pictures
perfect,
there.
okay,
So this one now would be by the back gate, and that roof slopes to the north as it sits. So if you would bring that one up front, the roof would slope towards the pulling track towards the
North.
to the north, correct.
Yep.
And the door would still remain on the east end. And then at that time, it would allow us to get a little bit bigger window than what is pictured to put on the south side to make it easier to sell tickets and wristbands out of them.
Mr. Chair, my next question is, I believe these were paid for through Health and Human Services and their actual buildings per se. Did they have any comments on them? You know, because Health and Human Services are letting us use them.
I did not receive any comments.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Becker, so these were purchased with public health COVID dollars.
Yes.
And the purpose of these were to be used for, in the event we needed to have them for vaccination clinics. So that's part of that design
Right.
of this. I have not heard anything from Jackie on what this would do to the specific, making these changes, if that would be a negative effect to them.
Okay.
okay, so it was 175 a window, right?
Correct, per building, yep.
And,
And then
okay,
75 to switch them.
okay. So you're gonna replace two of the windows? Because the window and the door slides, right? That opens up also? It slides up?
Yep.
So you wanna change,
What we would do is we would put a window on, like the one that will be on the south side of the fairgrounds will be on the south wall, and then it's gonna be a sliding window. So it'll slide to the side, it won't come up. It'll be easier to sell tickets out of. Otherwise, this way, it's just about impossible to do.
Mr. Chair, maybe just for some clarity, on this backside that we don't see, I'm guessing there's not any windows, so
There's
you'd
No,
be,
Nothing.
there is no
No.
window on the backside, it's just a solid wall.
okay,
Yep.
Perfect.
Mr. Chair, if I could,
yeah.
who's gonna be adding the window? Who would do the,
The person that built the building, is my understanding, Mitch has already called and talked to them. They are the ones that are going to switch the building, because it can't be done with
Yeah.
just a skid steer. And then they are also going to install the windows.
okay.
and that's
Then
Eagle
Ms.
Creek Builders.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, what's the wishes of the board here?
Well, Mr. Chair, if I could, the cost, who's paying for it?
It has to be, we would be willing to pay for it.
Okay,
Okay,
We are ones that, there's a few people that utilize the buildings and they could be taken anywhere and utilized, but we do use it a bunch and it would benefit us, so I think it would be fitting and proper. If we needed to, we would pay for it.
okay.
okay. So the email I got from Mitch is, cost per window, $175 per window, so it's two windows. And then the cost to switch the building is $75. So to move the building from the grandstand to the outside, and to bring the one from the outside over to the grandstand, $75, so. What's you guys' thoughts? Get her done?
Yep. For me, I think that the functionality would be very beneficial, and even comfort for people buying their tickets would be worth it. Just because if it's raining, I mean, obviously they don't want to be standing out in the rain in the first place, but if the rain's running off the building onto someone, it seems like And in that case, if we flip-flop them, then there's no window for the ticket taker. So
I
we
understand.
add a nice comfortable window. It sounds like a great idea.
Okay. So with that, we're gonna have to create a new board action, correct?
Yes, I'm writing a note on that now.
Okay. So the new board action would be the cost per window install, 175 for 2. So per window, right?
$75,
Per window.
no, it's $75 per ticket booth to move.
No,
No,
Yeah.
75 for both.
$75 to switch the two,
Switch to 2,
Is
but
what
then to
Mitch told
install
me.
the windows, $175
a piece.
a piece.
So the total would be $425, yep.
Okay. And with that, everybody on the understanding, do we have a motion for that?
So moved. I'll have a motion for
Yeah.
the swapping and the addition of the 2 windows as paid for by the Fair Board.
Oh,
Paid for by the Egg Society?
Egg Society.
Yep.
Okay.
Egg Society.
second that.
All right, motion by Noska, second by Becker. Any further discussion? If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. All right, next is,
Okay, so next you have the estimate in front of you from Arc Electric,
Yep.
and we had them come out and give us a quote on putting electrical outlets in the horse, I guess it's called the livestock building. You know, it houses the beef, sheep, or the swine, the sheep, the goat, the rabbits, poultry, and the horses. Now, on the horse end, which is the north end, those first 3 lanes or aisles that go through, there's only an outlet, one on each end, on the east end and on the west end. So what we're proposing is to have outlets put for every 2 pens, because right now, if the kids want to run a fan or any type of anything that's electrical, they have to climb up above and put an extension cord and run those extension cords across. So that's a safety issue, you know, if a 4-H'er were to fall, or, you know, if anybody else rents the building, you run into that issue. So, so we got an estimate to do that and put, it would be 18 outlets in those 3 aisles. And, just electrical outlets. So the cost, total cost of that is $6,317.08. And the Todd County Egg Society has a grant that will cover $3,000 of that cost. So we're here to see if you would be willing to cover the rest of that cost, for the horse, that end. The other end of the buildings is not an issue because they don't need the electrical. We've got some in there, so it's good, but, the horse end, if the kids want to run a fan, because we had talked about putting fans in and installing them, but you just don't know. You know, we don't want a horse to get sick if it's not used to having the fan, or this child's horse can't have a fan. This way it can be individualized as well.
okay,
Do you have any other questions to that?
questions from the board?
I'm guessing there's been quite a bit of demand for it over the past year.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, because those kids are up there.
Yeah.
You know, I talked to Delvin about it, and we talked to some of the horse people, and yes, they've climbed up and ran cords from the ends of the buildings for a long time, so, you know, we just feel it's a safety
Okay.
issue for the kids. Sure hate to see somebody fall and break a leg or,
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
Deborah, does that cover the rabbit area also? You know, because we've always had so much problems with the rabbits. I mean, is there adequate plugins over that area or not?
as far as I know, Barb, there is, we've talked to them before, you know, I've talked to Robert and Kim, and last year we bought some fans because you can't have direct stuff on them. We don't want the rabbits to get the sniffles.
Right.
If they do, then they get disqualified. So, we just bought regular box fans and put in there to help circulate the air.
Okay,
And-
but there is adequate plugins in that area?
That's what they, you know, it's one on each end of the building, kind of the same as what we've got with the horse, but, they seem to be, they haven't said anything about
Okay.
it to us, so.
Okay. Any other questions for them? Okay, what's the wishes of the board? Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'd make the motion to add the additional outlets with, Ag Society's, grant covering $3,000 of the financial implications.
Okay, this motion by Denny. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Nazca. Further discussion? With the county attorney, would this just be a donation because it is a county facility? So we just put into the board action that it's a donation from the Ag Society to the county as far as upgrading the electrical in the horse barn?
That's right.
Okay, all right?
Okay, so we wouldn't direct pay that then to ARC? Well, the reason I ask this is we have to have that trail for the grant. We have to show proof of the check and the receipt of what we're paying. So I'm not sure if, I mean, can I get that clarified with them if it's okay that we do it that way?
Sure.
Mr. Chair, with how we've done things in the last couple of years, everything has run through Mitch as a facility supervisor to have that work done. So I would anticipate that Mitch would work with the vendor, Arc Electric, and he would actually make sure the work gets done. The bill would come to us. You would get copies of that. So, I mean, you should have everything that you need. It's just that it's going through Mitch versus coming direct.
Okay, is that okay with you guys? All right. So we have a motion by Denny, second by Nazca. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. County ditch. Morning, Nancy. How are you?
Good morning, how are you guys?
Good.
All right, I just have one agenda item. It's for County Ditch 19, hold harmless agreement, Pivot Crossings, Amthor Cattle Company LLC. Recommendations, the Todd County Board of Commissioners approves the following by motion. Acting as ditch authority approves a hold harmless agreement petition from Amthor Cattle to install 3 pivot crossings. The crossings will be 24-inch culverts with fabric underneath them and crushed concrete on top for the irrigator tires to travel on. This project will be done on parcel 2600-22800, Ward Township, Section 25, and will be done at Amthor Cattle's own expense.
Okay. All right, you've heard the request. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Nazca. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion.
I do, Nancy. I got something for you if you don't mind, Randy.
Go ahead.
So like is it under your guidance that they chose the sizing of these culverts and everything?
There is no downstream culverts.
Oh, there isn't. Okay.
No.
Okay, so they're not impacting anyone else
No,
by.
this is the
okay.
end, is the end of the lateral
Okay.
there, and the other is no
Great.
downstream.
Yep.
And then, Mr. Chair, there were gonna be 4 crossings, but where you can see where it says 1 crossing, if you look at the aerial photo of the, where the tires are gonna cross, there's two tire crossings that were so close together that they're just gonna make it 100 feet long. And it was gonna run down the edge of the banks, so that'll prevent that from damaging the banks.
Okay.
All right. Perfect. Any further discussion on that? You have none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nancy.
I'll be back.
Solid waste.
Good morning.
Morning, Mike.
The first item we have before you today is our landfill final cover design revision. At the February 21st, 2023 board meeting, Todd County authorized retaining WSN to provide design, bidding, and observation services for the closure of the demo cells 6 through 18. WSN had furnished 2 proposals, one for $26,000 and one for $44,000. The lower cost proposal was inadvertently approved. So attaches a copy of the correct contract. Our options are to approve the updated agreement with WSN for the final cover, or to do not approve the signature of the agreement with WSN. And it is our recommendation to approve the $44,000 contract cost. And it is a budgeted item through solid waste fund.
Okay. You've heard the request. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Denny. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker. Discussion. So, the estimate for them just to oversee the cover on the landfill is $44,000.
Well, the original design amount was to do the design and all the documentation, the letting for the bidding and everything was all
Right.
included. I believe that where the error was made when Chris first submitted that back in February was they were missing some berming requirements that the state implied to us for final cover for the long-term erosion factors that take part of that. And they did not include that in the original design, and that's where the $44,000 was. They implemented that later on, resubmitted the current updated approved design. So that was the difference.
So do we have any idea when this is gonna go out for bid?
I have not heard back from them. We are still currently waiting for that, but it should be very close. We were hoping in August.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion? You have none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
And the second item that we have before you today is the demolition waste hauling program. Background, the solid waste department has reviewed its roll-off services for collecting demolition waste from Todd County properties for disposal at the county-owned demolition landfill with the solid waste committee and county board via work sessions. Based on recent discussions and information summarized in the attached memo, solid waste recommends discontinuing this service effective January 1st, 2024. The options of this is to discontinue the service of collecting demo debris with county-owned roll-offs, hook trucks, and staff effective January 1st, 2024. An authorization to sell 2 hook trucks and approximately 20 to 30 roll-off containers. Department reserves the right to continue using hook trucks and roll-offs where appropriate, including transportation of materials to end markets and abatement of non-compliant properties. And to continue services currently provided, demolition rates are shown in the February county fee schedules. The recommendation of the county board approves the following motion is to discontinue the service of collecting demo debris with the county-owned roll-offs, hook trucks, and staff effective January 2024. Authorization to sell up to the 2 hook trucks and 20 to 30 containers.
Okay. You've heard the request. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Denny. Is there a second?
Second that.
Second by Nazca. Discussion.
Yes, I would. I guess when I read this, I like to know what we're totally moving and approving, because I agree with discontinuing it, but we're also approving selling up to 2 trucks and 20 to 30 roll-off containers. So who's going to make that decision, what gets sold and when they get sold? Or are there any of the containers that we might still be able to use with the different, with the building, our new building and so forth? So I guess I'd like to have some clarification.
Sure. Yeah, we will probably continue to maintain about 10 to 12 roll-offs. We're not sure on that, and we're also going to utilize 2 hook trucks to keep back to get through the existing transition from the new facility being built. In that process, as we know, it's been slower than we anticipated, so we're going to continue to need to service our roll-off containers for hauling demo and that type of product to our landfills. So we're going to need 2 trucks for at least the next 2 years with about a dozen roll-offs. The idea of selling 2 trucks and the existing roll-offs that were there is it gives the opportunity for the private sector to bid on these containers and to help supplement the difference when we drop off from services.
Okay. I do have a question too. Do you think we should do a board resolution on this because we've did it for so long, or is a board action gonna be good enough for this? Sorry, I mean, I just thought
Yeah.
I'd ask the question.
I guess I mean, the board action is an action you're taking. I mean, if you want a resolution to dissolve this, they'd have to bring that back to the board then, because we don't have one prepared for today.
Right.
I guess
County attorney, John, would you have an opinion on that?
What would be the benefit of a resolution, just to make it more clear to the public?
Yeah, that, because we've been in it for how many years, and the resolution is, the board saying, we're gonna get out of the roll-off business.
No harm in that.
Right.
Mr. Chair, could we maybe compare this to even like home care, where we decided to discontinue that program or close that program? We was done with board action. So I don't know that we did a resolution in that event, but again, county attorney saying it doesn't hurt to cover the base.
Okay.
I'm just saying past practice, like Coordinator Pelzer is saying, is we didn't have a resolution for ending.
Okay.
home
I'm
care.
just asking.
Good question,
Yeah.
but your past practice as a board hasn't had one before.
Okay. All right.
And I guess, Mr. Chair, my concern still is, do we need, or should we have all of this in the recommendation? Should part of it come, or as a solid waste board, you take care of it?
As a
long
committee?
As a committee, as long as
And
we
bring it
approve
forward.
it here? And as you go to sell it as needs, or?
Right. I think as we get ready to discontinue, like in December, we should, put those out for bids and,
Right. Because we'll have to do an actual inventory. A lot of the containers are, they're basically salvage scrap steel price. There's multiples that are in really rough shape. So there's some things that, but there's certain vendors that will buy damaged, really poor, then they resurface them themselves, recondition them. So it gives them that opportunity at least, so.
okay. All right. Any further discussion on this? All right. Motion by Denny, second by Nazca. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Health and Human Services.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So we have a request to hire a social worker. The purpose of children's mental health targeted case management is to improve the behavioral functioning and reduce risk of out-of-home placement for identified children with severe emotional disturbances. At the January 2nd, 2019 board meeting, it was approved to provide CMH-TCM services in-house using a phased-in approach. Due to the demanding high caseloads, there is a need to hire an additional social worker to provide CMH-TCM. So our options are to authorize the hiring of one social worker to provide children's mental health targeted case management, or to not authorize. So our recommendation is to authorize the hiring of one social worker to provide children's mental health targeted case management.
Okay, I've heard the request. Is there a motion?
So move.
A motion by Becker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Danny. Discussion. If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Next.
And then I also just wanted to give a home care program update. Since the decision was made, we've worked feverishly to try to find what other home care options we have for people, what other services might benefit them, things like that. And so as of today, we started with 54 home care clients. We have 40 left that are waiting for placements. We have 26 that might be going to a new provider. That's one of the exciting things that has come out of that, if you will, an exciting piece of such a hard decision. But this provider is in 20 different counties, and they're willing to come to Todd County and take at least 26 of our clients that we have that need placement. But they also offer other services such as private duty nursing, respite, OT, PT. So we're getting more services in our county than just the typical home care. So I think that will really be a benefit for the people of Todd County. So we are just waiting to, they're in the process of hiring, so as that process takes a little bit, then we'll be able to transfer our clients. And then there's 10 other that have placements. They've decided that it's time that they want to go to assisted living, or we've identified some for our public health nurse clinics, or some that have even decided that they don't need or want home care anymore. And then 4 people are still deciding, because it's hard if they still want services, what they want that to look like. So we've been meeting weekly just to keep an eye on how things are going. And as you guys can imagine, this has been difficult for clients and staff alike, because they've been with the same people for so long. But I also think that attests to the great work that our staff have done with them. So yeah, we're working through it, and it's going well.
Okay.
Nice, Kim. So the clients out there, our constituents, can continue to call Health and Human Services, Todd County Health and Human Services, and you will guide them to their next step.
Yep, absolutely. We have people that call in, families, people that just kind of want to know, like you said, what those next steps are for their next step in life. So we always are willing to help people decide what their options are. We have a resource directory that we send them, or we go through options for them, and even just the whole long-term care process we go through with them, or send them an MA application or whatever they might need. Just, we think that's a valuable service to provide to people.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Yep,
Yep.
thank you, Kim.
Administration.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This morning I have a board action and a resolution, and the board action is to approve a resolution authorizing Coordinator Pelzer to conduct business and accept grant funds for Phase 1 of Rockwall on behalf of Todd County. And the background for this is Todd County has completed a conditions assessment and received construction documents for the Rockwall. These were funded in part through a grant provided by the Minnesota Historical Society, and the next step is to begin Phase 1 of the restoration and repair of the Rockwall. The estimated cost for Phase 1 is $1,011,150. The Facilities Committee has met and discussed the grant match and recommends utilizing $606,690 from county funds to assist in the Phase 1 project. In order to apply for the grant, the governing body of the organization must authorize someone to conduct business and accept funds on behalf of the organization, and the pre-applications for the grant are due July 21st of 2023. And the options are to approve the resolution authorizing Coordinator Pelzer to conduct business and accept grant funds for Phase 1 of the Rockwall project on behalf of Todd County, or to not approve, and the recommendation is to approve.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion?
So move.
Motion by Becker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Danny. Discussion.
I think there was a lot of discussion at facilities on the rock wall and the grant, and the years we've been working on it, and it's like your hands are tied and we're spinning our wheels.
Things are finally gonna happen?
Well, we don't know.
So, Mr. Chair, just to follow up on Commissioner Becker's comment, the Facilities Committee had suggested 60% of county funds to be used and a request of 40% from the Historical Society. We made a request last year. We applied for the Phase 1 project, and we did a 50-50, and the Historical Society said it was too large of an ask. I mean, they weighed in on it for 2 days just trying to figure out, can they fund it or can't they, and it was just too big. So we're going to try again, and we're going to do the 60% of county funds, potentially utilizing ARPA dollars for this or using our set-aside dollars. But I'm just hopeful that this time around we can actually get this Phase 1 off the ground. And for the 2 new commissioners, Denise, can we flip this so I can just kind of show what this looks like? So what I have up here, just for a point of reference, this, I'm going to zoom in a little bit, but this is our historical, kind of our historical complex block. So I'll zoom in and show you that Phase 1 is really this front of the historic courthouse and going out towards the Justice Center and then coming back around to the west. This is Phase 1. When this is done, when we do get that done, we will move on to Phase 2, which will actually be the entire west wall.
Oh.
So just as a point of reference. And the breakdown of cost Phase 1 has that just over 1 million price tag, and then when we come back and we do Phase 2, that's just about 600,000 that we'll be looking at.
And we, Mr. And through the facility, we actually broke it into 2 phases to try to get the cost down. So, yeah.
That is correct.
And how many years have we been working on this, Chris?
I want to say it was 2018 when we went for the conditions assessment, and then we had 2019 with construction documents. That got delayed just because of COVID, so we had a little bit of delay in getting those documents, and then applied for that larger grant last year with
Yeah.
the Phase 1, so.
So I did have a conversation with Representative Weiner on this, and he did not know much about the Historical Society. I said he needed to do some research on that. And then he brought up Lassard Sams, and there is some funding in there for arts, whatever, historic. So he was gonna check with staff and just do a little digging on that. Another, how he put it, another alternative to it. Like he said, you know, $1 million is a lot of money to replace that wall. And he said if it, you know, if the wall itself could be changed and have the cosmetics on the outside look like rock, but not be rock, he said, what would we do? What would happen to the county if we went that route? I said, I don't know.
Yeah, and I've had that discussion with the Minnesota Historical Society, and we know that if we do things that are different than the original, then that comes at our own cost. But because we are on the National Register of Historic Places, that gets a little bit tricky in changing that design.
And like Mike said, he said, you know, the public can't use those steps to come up here.
That's
You know,
correct.
he said, and it's been like that for 2-3 years. So
The longer this project gets delayed by waiting on funding, the more risk we have of deterioration, which we know we have some issues with the crumbling and the rocks, but we also have issues where people are not able to access the building as they did in the past.
yeah. So after sitting on facilities the other day, Pink Floyd kept going into my mind. It's, all in all, it's just another brick in the wall. So anyways, yeah, we'll just continue to work on it. That's all we can do.
Yep.
Thanks. All right,
Did you make the motion?
I'll read that,
No, did
What?
we vote on that motion?
oh, sorry, Chris. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for catching me. Anytime. All right. Now the board will go into closed session. The commissioners will hold a closed session pursuant to Minnesota statute section 13D.05 subdivision 3C3 to develop or consider offers and counter offers for a purchase of sale of real or personal property. Do we have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Motion by Noska. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion. If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We're going into closed session at, what is it?
Just a tad ahead of
10:09.
schedule, huh?
I would entertain a motion to reopen the regular county board meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Nazca. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Danny. Discussion? If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed. And we're reopened at 10:42. All right. Standing reports. Treasures.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to reiterate some of the election for District 3 that'll be coming forth. There was an article in the Long Prairie Leader, and so I just wanted to address that. My response to the article printed in Long Prairie Leader regarding the upcoming special election for Commissioner District District 3, I'd like to take a moment and put forth the following information for the public. My office worked very closely with the Office of the Minnesota Secretary of State, the Todd County Attorney, and the County Board to bring forth formal action adopted by the Todd County Board of Commissioners on May 24th, 2023, to officially vacate the office of Commissioner District 3 due to the death of the incumbent, and to call the special election to happen according to Minnesota Statute 375.101. This specifically follows the procedure since the term of the length remaining was greater than 1 year. And I stress that because that is the statute we had to follow. Commissioner Erickson's term was greater than 1 year. I can now update the board that due to the number of candidates filed for this position, there will be a 2-election event process. A special primary election will be held August 8th, 2023, to narrow down the numbers of candidates from 4 to 2. The special general election will be held November 7th, 2023, and shortly thereafter, the newly elected commissioner for District 3 will take their seat. Absentee voting will be available soon. Our office will publish notice on the county website when this will be open. However, absentee applications are available now at the present moment in our office or online and can be submitted. All candidates have been provided the guidelines for campaigning practices matching all elections for office in the state of Minnesota. And so that goes along with posting their signs. Are they in the road right away? Are they following all practices of campaigning to the best of their ability, following that guidebook? So they've all been given that. They've been given all the details in the packet of when you file for any office. But I just wanted to really clarify that because some of the article, she stated items that we went through all of the statutes. We sent an email on and actually physically called the state of Minnesota and got direction. We used our county attorney, sent him an email with all the data that we had sent you county commissioners and coordinator on all the items that we researched. And this was the only option that we had because the term was longer than 1 year.
Yep.
So I just wanted to reiterate that because I didn't want to put anything in the paper. I just wanted you, the board, to be aware and where we were at with the election process right now, that 4 have filed and we will have a primary.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I could, and just add something more to it, because I read the article too, and I think we all have. And John and Chris, we all are in agreement what we did was the correct way of doing it.
Absolutely, Mr. Chair and Commissioner Becker. There was absolutely no choice. We had to do the special election. That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I concur.
Okay,
And that is the end of my report.
okay.
Thank you. County attorney.
Nothing new really to report from my office. I just hope the public has a happy and safe time at the Swanville Carnival and everybody makes good choices. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Commissioners. Commissioner Denny?
Again, nothing new to report on the committees and meetings. We had a Mississippi watershed one. We had Prairie Lakes meeting was down in Hoffman on Wednesday, and looking at their process, how they do their ash utilization, see if we can mimic something like that. Because we're running out of some space, but other than that, had a good 4th with the family, and glad to be back here.
Good. Commissioner Nazca?
All right, yeah. Since last meeting, updates for me, we've got, on the 22nd of June, we met with the TRICAP and we're happy to announce that they were awarded an extra $1 million for weatherization and fuel assistance for the, the Tri-County area. So that, I mean, for the people in a hardship, that's gonna be real nice for them this winter. And, you know, get some updates and in the end, hopefully give them a little jump start. So, also, we've been utilizing, as a part of the Fair Board, we've been utilizing the extra week that was allowed to set up out there. It's been really nice because it seems like, from what I hear, every year is more and more work and less people helping. So it's tough, but it looks like things are coming along well. Last week we were out there a couple days, and that's when we kind of noticed those things about the sheds that could be upgraded and make them a little better utilized. So, and the 28th we had Housing and Redevelopment Authority. We still have a couple openings that we like to fill. So, if anyone knows of anyone in, I think it's Randy's district and my district,
Yeah.
that is looking to be a part of that, would be great. And on another note, I believe we've got with Rick Utek, we've got an opening there too for because Dave Kircher stepped down, so we've got an opening for his seat in the Development Corporation.
Okay.
So, but that's about all I have since last.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Becker?
Yeah, I attended the Region 5 meeting, and then we had the facility meeting, which we had a lot of different discussions on. A Mississippi watershed meeting in Brainerd, and then we've been working on the finance and budget, and some personnel meetings mixed in between.
Okay. All right. I had, let's see, a department head meeting, opioid meeting, been filling in for District 3 on that. That's interesting, there's a lot of money coming down the pike on that. They will follow the process, bring it in front of the board, we have to approve all the money that's being spent on that. So, we'll move forward with that. Personnel, finance committee has met a couple times now. We're in second round. We're starting to, we're gonna have them start sharpening the pencils. So we gotta get that levy down a little bit more. Facilities meetings have been interesting. We had a group CPT meeting. Again, as a commissioner, I'm glad we started that. I wish I would have started it a year ago or a year and a half ago before we just got into it. How many departments are affected by our IT? And it's, and who uses CPT? You know, it's 25 counties. Yeah, there's some bumps in the road. We just gotta get through them and just keep moving forward. So it's a good group. My other concern that pertains to my district would be Long Lake Higgins got awarded 1.4 million of bonding money to reduce the elevation of Long Higgins. And that bonding was wrote to the Sauk River Watershed District, which again, the board is having some concerns about. The Sauk River Watershed Board is having some concerns about it. You know, this board, the old board, we were out there a couple times. We went on pontoon rides. We got to see the elevation of the lake. You know, we worked with our legislators to get that 1.4 to help our constituents. And it's just a little concerning. They come back and was asking for bonding. And, you know, I asked Representative Wiener, I said, so because their estimate, they did go out and hire a contracting firm, and the estimate come in at like about 1.2. So Representative Poston at the time said, you know what, just to cover our butts a little bit, let's go for 1.4, which they got, okay? So I don't know if they can use part of that 1.4 for the bonding. I don't know. And that's questions I have, but then, you know, you have the Sauk River Watershed as our attorney, you know, and I said, if we would have known as a board and worked with our legislators to get this funding for them, and then to turn around and have a taxing authority organization come back and say, well, geez, we don't know if we want to take this project on, that's upsetting. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'll continue. I've sent, some emails to John, one for sure asking Soil and Water if they would want to get involved, and that was kind of a absolutely no. So, yeah. So anyways, that's all I have.
Mr. Chair, I need to fix one of my comments. I misspoke. I think I said I was at the Mississippi Brainer one. I was not. I meant to say CPT one.
Yeah.
That wasn't my.
Yep.
Sorry about that.
Thank you. Coordinators report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. During this time since last board meeting, when we met last, I had a little bit of a time away, so that was great to have a short vacation in there. And then with that, attended some of the same meetings, personnel, finance, facilities, and the CPT meeting. Also, some information that was shared with me by some of the commissioners was a new program by the Douglas County Housing and Redevelopment Authority. So there's a program available for eligible homeowners to make home repairs through grants, and that's for Pope, Douglas, and Todd counties. And the information is posted on our Facebook. We'll get an article on the website as well, but just so homeowners know that that program is available if they qualify. And then just a final thing, we do have the fair coming up July 13, 14, 15, and 16. Hopefully everybody will get out and attend that. So that's all I have.
Yeah, thank you. And Chris, maybe we should send that to the news media, that letter from
Sure, I could do a public service announcement.
Douglas. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that needs to come in front of this board? If not, we will recess until July 18th. Okay? Thank you, and we'll start the work session here in a couple minutes. Welcome to the Wednesday, July 5th, 2023 Todd County Board of Commissioners Work Session. On the agenda today is Nancy.
All right, so I've got two agenda items. The County Ditch 19 minor maintenance for lateral 4. And I do have a correction from the board meeting. When you asked about the culvert, there is no upstream culvert, not no downstream culvert. There's no upstream culvert because that's the end of the lateral.
Yeah.
But the downstream culvert is a 24-inch on 350th
Yeah,
Street.
so yeah, that's no restriction. That's all I was worried about,
Yep.
is we weren't restricting for someone that gives
Yep,
us
so
a
it
call.
matches.
That'd be me who gets that call.
Yep. Okay, so County Ditch 19, the lateral that Amthor Farms just got the request for the pivot crossings is also requesting to be cleaned. North of 350th Street was cleaned, did I put the date on here? 2010, I believe, is we cleaned that, but we didn't clean south of the road. So if you want to go up to my inspection report. So this is lateral 4, Ward Township, section 25. It's approximately 4,460 feet in length. It's in black on the map there. Yep, it was 2010 when north of the road was cleaned. The ditch line's really overgrown with brush and trees, and it has a lot of silt in it. I haven't crawled into the ditch yet to do the soil borings, but down on the end where the Amthor Farms put in their crossings, it's about 2.5 to 3 feet of silt down that area.
Okay.
So the first picture up there is actually looking off of the culvert, if you want to move up to that. That's okay. That's on 350th Street there, and it's pretty much completely overgrown. The trees do get thicker a little bit farther south, and then there's a big area that is I believe it's the 543 soil, so there's not as much trees, but it's bad enough that we may need to use mats there, depending on how that goes. And then just really overgrown with brush and trees. So for the next steps for this, I'll need to get an estimate from a contractor. There is a maintenance fund on this ditch system. Balance is approximately $18,000. I did talk with Jolene on Friday last week. Kind of the way, and I'm sure the commissioners that have been here know how the fund balance is,
Right.
depending on who pays assessments and who doesn't pay assessments and bills. So as of May 31st, she said there is $16,154.79 in that fund, and the potential balance for the end of the year is $17,913.44. So I need to get an estimate for this clean out. Since they're paying a maintenance fund, I have no desire to go do a project that's beyond the maintenance fund. So if it gets to be more than that 18,000, possibly we'll have to put it off until the next year when we get the next 4,100, I believe, is what gets put in that maintenance fund all the time. Yep. So I'm hoping, I'm believing we can get it done for under this 17, but I have to get an estimate yet.
Okay.
So since it is considered a minor maintenance with the dollar amount, we could just do this as the board ordering it done, and we would not have to have any hearings. So that's something that you guys will have to decide how you want me to proceed. If you want to do an informational meeting, if you just want to do it as a minor maintenance. The info meeting for ditch 42 was a lot more intensive, but attorney fees on that was about $2,000.
Yeah.
So we could easily use that to clean rather than pay attorney fees. So.
Absolutely.
So this one here, you'd bring back on the 18th?
Um,
All your information back
Nope,
by then?
I'm actually, once I'm done here, then I'm gonna actually get a hold of a contractor to come out there with me, take a look at it, and give me an actual, quote
Yeah,
on what it would cost to do it, and then I'll bring it back. I can either bring it back to another work session, or if you feel you just wanna do it as a minor maintenance and not have to have an informational meeting or a hearing, I could bring it back then at the next board meeting, not the next board meeting, but at a board meeting with the quote and, to get the approval to do it or the decision
You
on
want
it.
to do?
Well, I think that if we can keep it underneath the maintenance balance, I mean, if it goes beyond the maintenance balance, we'll have to talk about it again and
Right.
see what we're gonna do. But if it's below, I think we could probably just approve it and get it done, because
Okay.
especially if it's the way your photos look. I mean, we're not standing there, but I understand they're paying assessments on this ditch. We need to keep it going, or we'll get some kickback.
Yep, yeah.
Mr. Chair, if I could.
Mhm.
Nancy, how many landowners are we talking?
On the assessment roll or on that area?
No, on this clean out, is it just this one person, or
No,
are we
there
gonna,
are,
you know, how many people are,
There's
that
the
could have
one-
comment
there's
coming in?
one, there's two.
4 parcels?
Probably, well, if it's like right where the ditch is, because it cuts through the 1, 2, 3, there's 1, 2, and then that last one is Amthor. So 4 parcels that the ditch actually goes through. The little bit on the end of it is actually on Marilyn Hagendorn's, or I think it's his daughter that owns it now.
Yep.
That was a section of ditch that was asked to be abandoned, and I can't remember how many years ago, 5 years ago-ish.
Okay,
And so he petitioned to abandon that section of ditch because he was going to do a U.S. Fish and Wildlife project. U.S. Fish and Wildlife then said they weren't interested in doing the project after we went through the procedure to abandon it. He never asked to have it removed from the assessment roll, so that parcel has not been removed from the assessment roll, nor has he done a project on it to block his water.
okay.
So that's another thing I'll have to talk to him and see, does he want us to include that little section? I mean, it's tiny. You can see that it's just a little bit over the, and it goes into like a little water body.
Right.
If he wants us to clean that, or if he doesn't want us to clean that.
So how far north we talk, it's so hard to tell on this map, and I should.
Where that black line is,
Yeah,
that is the entire length that's asking to be
okay,
cleaned.
but were we talking by, Ketterhagen's?
Yeah, where Catterhagen's are, his farm is actually between the 2 laterals. So it's the
Okay.
lateral to the east, that black line that goes straight down there. It's the shorter lateral of the 2. The other lateral, or the other one actually is the main ditch, and that actually goes much farther south.
Okay,
Well, and from the looks of this, I mean, the way, this is the end of the
Yes,
lateral.
that's the end of
Well,
that.
it's gonna benefit the people to the north, this flows south, or?
It flows north.
Flows north, well, I mean, it's gonna benefit people to the south yet as well, so the benefited area is more than just the parcels that it goes through, so I mean.
Yep,
we're
and I
getting-
know hosts have said that they're having issues with water being held back on their field, which is just north of
Yep.
Amthor, so they would like it
Yep.
cleaned. I know the landowner that's right along the road, and I can't remember what his name is. He wasn't real excited about it. His payment for the maintenance fund every year is $74. So he's not got a large dollar amount, so I'm not sure why he wouldn't be in favor of it, but they said he was not really that in favor of it.
All right.
okay.
So, and that middle one, they are a St. Cloud, absentee landowner, St. Cloud area. And they've got actually something that's holding back water there. I think it may either be a collapsed crossing or a beaver dam.
Oh,
I
could
have to
be
call them
beaver
yet
in
to
there.
figure out which one that is that's there. So they said there is always a little bit of a pond there, but from the 2023 photos to the 2020 photos, it's increased in size.
So do you think that the Amthor, or whatever they're putting the crossing in there, you think they'll utilize the same contractor hopefully, and crossing
I
while they do
don't
the
know
clean
that.
out, or?
Since there's so many trees, when the contractor that I use, I like them to have like a Fecon head.
Okay,
And they go in there and they grind up anything that's under 12 inches, they can grind up.
yeah,
So then you don't have all of because when I first took this job, our spoil piles were trees. It's just buried with dirt in spoil piles. And to
Oh.
do them with chipping the trees and
Right.
then putting the spoil on no trees,
right,
just makes for
Yeah.
way
Absolutely.
cleaner
Right.
and way better for future maintenance. And so the because I had looked at one contractor, but he does not have a Fecon head.
oh,
So Daryl Corbin from Sabika, he does. But I have to see what his availability is,
gotcha.
so. But if you agree that you don't want an informational meeting, then I will go ahead with.
I don't think we need one if you've got the money in the fund.
Well, until we get a
That-
bid
I'm-
too.
What's that now?
When she brings the bid back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of money you could spend on digging instead of.
Exactly, yeah, well,
Attorney
it's
fees.
$2,000 that we don't have to kick out for nothing.
So yeah, I will bring that one back then to probably a regular meeting when I find out what the estimate's gonna be.
Okay. All right.
Okay, and then ditch 40, this one, there are 2 laterals, being requested to be cleaned.
Bruce.
Nope, that's still ditch 19, you gotta go up to the next one. Okay, so here's ditch 40. 2 laterals to be cleaned. Lateral 2 is in Bruce Township, section 14, approximately 2,663 feet. Lateral 3 is in section 23, approximately 2,427 feet in length. So the picture going up is lateral 2. That's the east end of the ditch, and the ditch is shallow at that end and is mostly just a brush kind of stuff. There is about 3 feet of silt in there. I did do soil borings there. Then as you go west, as you're headed to where the main ditch, which is also Little Swan River, as you're headed toward Little Swan River, it starts to get steeper banks and a very deep ditch. So about 600 feet before entering the main ditch, really like 6-foot tall spoil banks, and trees in the ditch line. So I went out with Kasem from Soil and Water, and we were looking at it, trying to figure out what on earth are these spoil banks so high for. So I went back and did some research, and if anybody remembers, there was a huge flood in 1972. There were roads washed out all over Todd County. There was that one man that was killed up by Germania because he went off the road into a waterway, washed out Highway 71. I mean, it was a huge, huge flood. Mm-hmm. So this flood was in the eastern part of Morrison County and a very large part of Todd. And it completely blew out that, where the lateral and the main ditch, the river come together, it completely blew that out. So I have found documentation, not a ton of documentation in the file, but there were 2 properties that had given permission for them to basically push all the topsoil off of probably like a acre to 3 acre field, push that topsoil up and reinforce that bank. So that's where this huge spoil pile has come from. And it's a very steep, very deep. It's going to be really expensive to clean that 600 feet because there's no way a backhoe is going to get on top of those spoil piles. I did talk with Rick Baum, is the one who's asking for this to be cleaned. I talked with him about not cleaning that 600 feet because it's going to be, I mean, I'll get an estimate and see what the contractor says for a cost, but you're going to need a really long backhoe to reach the bottom of that. And it's deeper than what the rest of the ditch is, so I don't know that we need to clean it because water is still probably gonna drain fast enough anyway. There is the last, if you go up a little bit, so this is where that gets really deep. This is the section that outlets into the main ditch, which is the river. It goes back to no big spoil piles, shallow ditch, so we could excavate this area and get that cleaned back up and get the where it connects to the main ditch, get that reestablished and clean again. And I don't think we would need to clean that section, that 600-foot section that's so deep. So lateral 2 is going to be the kind of the headache one. Lateral 3 goes back to a flat ditch, no banks. This section will be quite easy to clean, and then it just connects up to the little Swan Creek again. So this section will just be your general run-of-the-mill cleaning. So, but like I said, I have some documentation that the landowner that was on the southern part of the county that complained about his topsoil being taken up and used for that, but I have documentation that the ditch authority made agreements with both of those landowners, even though I can't find anything in writing. It was stated in notes that I have that agreements were made to be able to push that spoil up. So I don't see any reason why we need to correct that and flatten that area, because it was given permission at the time to the ditch authority from those landowners. And plus, it would be extremely expensive, and obviously those are weak points in the system. If there's another big water event, it could blow that out again if we cut those banks back down and make them shallower. But it's just going to make for a very expensive cleaning if we actually do want to clean that 600 feet. So this, again, if we want to do it as minor maintenance, we probably could, depending on what comes back with the bid. Otherwise, we could do that informational meeting if that was the wish of the board to do that.
I think, yeah, this one here, maybe does this one have a maintenance fund?
No.
So
Ditch
this one,
19 is the only
let's
one
bring
that-
this one back after you get bids and we can discuss it there.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that's the best bet, because I don't think, this is gonna be, then it'll be a success to
The whole ditch
the whole ditch
system.
system.
Yep.
Right.
And they're not currently, accustomed to paying for ditch maintenance.
Yep.
So the last record that we have on cleaning this was 50 years ago. Pretty-
74 was when they actually did the project to rebank that and to do some cleaning.
49 years ago.
Yep.
I'm surprised that they allowed them to push that up and create a higher?
It was before, wetland rules. It was, I'm sure the DNR was happy because it was basically reestablishing a creek or
Do we need
or
to,
a
do you-
river.
Do you need to notify the DNR that this is gonna happen then?
No,
or-
because we're not actually cleaning the section, that's as DNR. The laterals are not DNR waters. They're not public waters.
Oh, just
Just the main ditch is a public
public
waters.
water, so we're not actually going into the main ditch in any.
We're gonna clean the outlet into the main ditch.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
so get the bids and bring them back and we'll go
If you
from
don't
there.
mind.
no,
bringing it back
that's
to
what
us,
I intended to do anyway,
Be good.
so. Yeah, okay.
Any other questions for Nancy? Nope.